Hey guys, welcome back. So recently, in the past few days, a new patch came out for Heroic Duels, and for Hearthstone in general. But we got a lot of changes to duels. A lot of passive treasures have been altered a little bit, a lot of buffs, and things are looking a lot different right now. So I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the passive changes and what I think the future of duels is going to be with these new choices. So let's go. So the first passive that they have listed here is Dragonblood, which goes from +1/+1 to +1/+2 whenever a friendly dragon dies. Now, since Dragonblood is a tier 1 treasure, passive treasure, you're going to be competing against Dragon Affinity still, I think, as a dragon deck. And I think Dragon Affinity is still way better than this. Which means that I'm not really seeing the point of this. I think if you're building a dragon deck, you're going to be looking for Dragon Affinity still. Is this good enough as a secondary option? I don't really think so. I think that +1 health doesn't really do enough. Like, you could say, sure, for Humble Blessings Paladin, maybe, when they get that Onyxia out early, this helps close the game out with that. But the thing is, if Humble Blessings Paladin has Onyxia out on curve anyway with Humble Blessings, they're probably winning anyway. So, yeah, I don't really see the point of this. Still a fail for me. Next up, we have Hold the Line, which goes from +2 attack for your taunt minions to +3 attack. For this one, I think that, again, this just doesn't really do enough. You're playing a very defensive game if you're taking this treasure. So I guess you're thinking, you know, like Divine Shield Paladin with the Argent, with the Righteous Protectors, the taunts that have that are 1 mana and they have a Divine Shield. That could be pretty annoying to deal with. But again, that deck probably wants the Divine Shield passive instead. You know, the one where if you play a Divine Shield, you're giving your another minion a Divine Shield. So if I'm playing that Paladin deck, I am still looking for that treasure first. And this might even dilute the pool a little bit, making it harder to get the treasure you want. So, not a fan of this one either. I think it's still not good enough. Next up, we have Invigorating Light, which is now, whenever you play a holy spell, give +1 health to all friendly minions. This one I'm not really too sure about. I think I'm going to have to do some experimenting to get an idea on this one, because it's really hard to judge just how valuable this is. Is Priest going to have enough minions on the board to make this worth it? I guess maybe you're thinking like maybe a Miracle Priest type build, where you have like Divine Spirit and Inner Fire, and you're thinking of pulling those out of your deck with like the Dungeoneer maybe, and building up like a big buffed up minion and going for the combo of the Divine Spirit and the Holy and the Inner Fire. But I don't know if that's good enough. Like, it's really hard to make the judgment on that without trying it out, without seeing it in action, seeing other people run it maybe. So I'm not sure on this one yet. I'm leaning towards maybe it's not good enough, because I think that without having a mana discount, this is your first passive, so you're not going to have a mana discount early on. You're just not going to have enough minions on board to make use of this. But maybe it is good enough. I mean, I'm not really sure. We're going to have to experiment and see. Next up, we have Cannibalism, which has been moved to Tier 2, and has been changed to, whenever a friendly minion dies, give adjacent minions +1 attack. So, notably weaker than what it used to be. Cannibalism did used to be pretty strong in some decks, though. Like, I'm thinking Token Demon Hunter, Token Druid. Anything which can play a bunch of these rush minions, turn after turn, and, like... Yeah, I guess Demon Hunter in particular, the Token Demon Hunter, could really make good use of this. Again, though, I have to see it in action, because this is much weaker than it used to be. Could still be pretty good if you're generating a board every turn, though. One to keep an eye on. I'm gonna have to see how this works again. So next up we have Rally the Troops, which has been changed from after you play your first Battlecry card in a turn, draw a card that costs 3 less to costing 2 less. So what I've been noticing about this new Rally the Troops is that it's getting offered a lot more often. If you're building a Battlecry deck, you have a pretty good chance of seeing this, I think. Which makes the power level of Battlecry decks jump way up, I think. Just considering the discount you get from this. You're drawing a card, and you're getting a 2-mana discount every single turn if you have the right deck, which you definitely can make your deck the right way for this. That is a huge, huge discount. Basically, drawing a card, you count that as 1 mana, and the 2-mana discount, you're saving 3 mana every turn. That is big for a passive. Like, you compare that to Emerald Goggles, it's like if you play a card and a half every turn. Compares pretty favorably with that, and you're cycling through your deck. So yeah, I see a lot of potential for this one. Alright, so next up we have Endurance Training, which goes to your taunt minions cost 3 less, but not less than 1. I feel like with this, you're also going to want a lot of value generators, because if you play through your whole hand and it gets wiped out, you're out of cards, and you're in a bad position then. So this is also not very good for value purposes. I think it's not going to work. I think it's not good enough unless you have a ton of value generation. So this is still a fail for me. Alright, next up we have Orb of Revelation, which goes from reducing the cost of spells in your hand by 2 to 1. So notably weaker, but it is being moved from the rare treasure pool to a common treasure pool, so you're going to be seeing it a lot more often. And I think that where this could shine is with priest and mage decks that have some kind of value generation as their first passive. So I'm thinking Open the Doorways, which duplicates your discover spells, or in priest you have if you play a holy spell, discover a priest card, or in mage, the arcane version of that, the Arcane Flux. Because I think with an effect like this, you really do want value generation to make it so that you're not running out of cards, you're not playing through your hand too quickly, which I think in duels, this is going to happen a lot if you do not have the right treasure combo with this. So really only useful in those two classes, I think. But I think if you do have the right deck with those classes, this could definitely work. Again, comparing it to, say, other Tier 2 treasures like the 1-mana spell discount or the Emerald Goggles, you're going to need at least 3 spells in your hand at all times getting discounted by this for it to be worth it, compared to Goggles or the spell discount. So looking at it like that, maybe it's not that great. But you definitely want to be hitting a lot of spells with this, which is why I think you need that value generation too. I think it does bump up the power level of Quest Mage a little bit, because you're going to get more consistency out of that Tier 2 passive slot between this and the decreased all spell cost by 1 and the Emerald Goggles. Like, maybe you have more good options there which raise the power level of Quest Mage. All in all, kind of iffy on this one. I guess we'll have to see how good this is. How often this is getting offered in combination with those other passives for those two classes. Alright, next up we have Special Delivery, which goes from 1 health remaining to summon a copy with 1 health. So this is a bit of a nerf. I don't think Special Delivery was that insane to begin with, so I don't know. I guess this is a little bit of a nerf to Warrior. But all in all, not a big change. I think this doesn't really do much. Just a little bit of a nerf. Next up, we have the Corrupted Fel Stone, which goes from +2/+2 to +3/+2 whenever you cast a Fel spell. I still think that this is not good enough as an aggro demon hunter, which I think is the main deck you're going to want to run this in. You probably want spell discounts instead, ways to play through your deck faster. You're not really relying on minion damage as much, or if you are playing minions, you want to get them out as soon as possible. You don't really want to be playing spells first. So I think this is still not good enough. Just not a big enough of a change. We have Flame Waves, which goes from 1 damage for each fire spell you cast to 2 damage for each fire spell you've cast to all enemies. Really hard to judge this one again. I think if this is going to work, it's going to be in a completely new build with all fire spells. And I don't know how that is going to work. I don't know if that is good enough. I'm going to have to do some testing on this one, so this one is still up in the air. We have Band of Bees, which catches a bit of a nerf in that now you have to play the minion to give it poisonous, so this is not generating a ton of poisonous minions from, say, demon hunters, token spells, or any kind of thing that generates extra minions. It's not going to have poisonous anymore, so a huge nerf. Band of Bees was pretty strong before in Demon Hunter. Again, I'm going to have to see how this does, but I have a feeling that this is not going to be powerful enough without having that extra bonus of having things you summon have the poisonous effect. All in all, I think this is just like diluting the tier 2 treasure pool a little bit, making it so the super powerful treasures aren't offered as often. I don't think it's that good. And lastly, we have From the Swamp, which now you're only summoning 1 zombie a turn, and it's going to be a 1/3 zombie if you kill an enemy on your turn. I think this is absolute garbage. Comparing this to any other good tier 2 passive like Emerald Goggles, let's say that the 1/3 zombie is a 1 mana card, and you're getting a draw with it basically, but the draw is always going to be a 1 mana 1/3 zombie. That effect would probably be worth like 1.5 mana, I would say. But the fact that you have to kill an enemy first before it triggers, basically I would say it's like a 1 mana effect. Comparing that to Emerald Goggles, which is a repeatable 2 mana discount that you could play upwards of 6 mana of discount in 1 turn. That falls so far short that this is basically useless, I think. This is a complete fail. Never pick this one if you can. So yeah, that's gonna do it. I think overall, there are some big enough changes here that I think there is going to be somewhat of a shakeup. I think that Battlecry decks are going to be stronger thanks to the Rally the Troops. I think that's a big winner. And I also think that there being more options in the tier 2 treasure pool might make it so that Discs of Legend Warrior is happening less often. And I think that's a very good thing, because Disc of Legend Warrior dominates at the high win totals on the higher end of duels right now. To the point where you'll just see Disc of Legend Warrior after Disc of Legend Warrior. And maybe these changes are enough to make it so that doesn't happen as much anymore, where people can't just throw every single legendary into a deck and try to get that second passive to cement the run. But I'm interested to see where this all goes. Interested to see how Duels evolves from here. But it's hard to tell right now, so we're gonna have to wait and see. But that's gonna do it for today. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be trying to make more content like this soon, whenever some kind of update hits that affects duels. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!